Train by day, Kyle Wigginton podcast by night, all day.
Rescalla.
Yeah.
What a cool fucking name. Is that like, it's your real name?
It is my real name.
Okay, I didn't know if that was like a stage name or something.
Well, that too.
Yeah. Well, it doubles, right?
Yeah, I feel like it's Madonna.
Yeah. That's actually, I think that's a good way to describe your performances.
What, Madonna?
Yeah, dude. I've seen some of your performances. I think you're awesome.
Thank you.
You're such a cool vibe. And I think Madonna has a cool vibe too.
Thank you.
And I think that's what it is. You bring this vibe to the stage.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's a large spectrum of what I end up playing. Sometimes it's just like voice and guitar, but other times I like to bring on the whole like making people dance and move to the music.
Wasn't that the whole point of making music, right?
Yeah, I think like there's, I love playing voice and guitar if it's like a theater or a place where people are just going to like sit down and really listen to the music. But if it's a club or a place that's a little more, you know what I mean, where people are going out to dance and not so much to pay attention to the music as a centerpiece, then I prefer to play something that's a little more upbeat and dancey. And I guess I get to get best of both worlds.
Yeah. Well, I had a good time the day you were doing your what was it? The doggy
Wolfstock.
Wolfstock. That's what it was.
Wolfstock. Yeah, we did. That was last year. It was an amazing show that we put together to raise money for local dogs in need. I was leaving a gig and I found this. I think he was a mixed pit bull, and he was just running around on Rampart. He was really skinny. He almost got run over by a car. So I grabbed him and I didn't really know what to do with the dog next. And the long story short is that the next day I ended up finding someone who could board him, but he needed a lot of care. And one of the ways that I figured I could help was to raise some money to cover his vet bills. So with the help of a lot of the amazing artists that came out and supported us, we raised, I think it was over $500.
Yeah.
It was like 500 and some change.
Yeah, just for being outside of a bar. It was dope.
Yeah.
What was the place you guys were outside of too?
It was a Pep's Pub.
Yeah. And that's basically named after a dog too, right?
It's a dog bar, right? Yeah. It is a dog bar. And they were great. And it was the first year that I was doing events in New Orleans. And it was one of the first places that gave us a chance to throw something there, and it was great. They were like, let's do it again. But we might do it again. It's coming up. It was in May of last year. It was in the end of May of last year. So maybe we'll do it again this year. We'll see. If
you do it again, you got to let me know because I'll definitely be there again.
Perfect.
Yeah. And actually that day I won a raffle and it was some of your awesome jewelry.
Right. The rings.
How did you get into making those?
I started making rings because I had a hard time finding rings that would fit my fingers. Unless they were like skull rings or like eagles rings, or you know what I mean? Like I was like, I want something a little more contemporary, something a little more geometric, and I just had a hard time finding something. And I experimented a lot. I started experimenting about a year ago with them, and I've narrowed it down to this one actually now.
That's freaking dope.
Which is a ring that's adjustable in size. It's 18 grams of sterling silver. But it's adjustable in size so that
that's freaking awesome.
It fits around you. And I feel like in a lot of ways, my life's been about breaking the mold. So it's nice to have something that adapts around me instead of me having to adapt around it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's really cool. Like, what is the process when you actually go to make one of those?
I came up with the design and we did the first one in 3D. I had like 6 different models, and then we narrowed it down to this one out of the 6 that we had, because I wanted to have, instead of having a bunch of models that were okay, I wanted to invest in having one ring that was a really good quality piece that I could buy it and wear it for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's not going anywhere.
You know what I mean? This is like a really heavy, well-built ring instead of just something that's a little shell that's going to crack eventually.
Well, it's a manly ring too.
Right. Yeah. I feel like it's very, I feel like different styles of people can wear this ring. I don't think it's very limiting to one specific style of dressing up, or I think it's something that's very timeless.
And you sell those somewhere?
Right now I'm just selling them on when people DM me. I have been working with so when I tried out these 6 models and I narrowed down to this one, then I worked with a jewelry designer to help me create a 3D model of it, and then we did a 3D print of it, which was really cool. And now I'm working with a manufacturer in New York City that makes them by basically on demand.
That's awesome.
So when people want them, we'll make them. I love the idea of designing, and branding and marketing is part of my background, but it just doesn't sound like a good day to me to wake up and be like, oh my God, I have to make 15 rings by hand.
Yeah. No, that's the cool thing about the whole print on demand and stuff these days, even with the t-shirts and things you can do, like all kind of stuff. If you actually like the branding and design aspect of it, you can do that and then let someone else outsource. And granted, you're not getting as much money for the product as you would if you made it yourself.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're still getting a piece of the pie and you're getting to do something you like to do.
Yeah. And it's also like, the investment that it takes for you to have the machinery, the skill, the space in order to do it properly, and ventilation, and not to talk about, the years and years of just knowledge that, these people have. And it's a small business. It's outsourced, but outsourced to a small business in the US, and not outsourced to like mass scaling factories abroad, which is just a different, a different way to go about things. Yeah. But yeah, it's been cool. I hope that this year I have a little more time to push that out there, as last year I spent a lot of time exploring it.
Well, time is the biggest aspect, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, what else do you do that takes your time away? I know you have the mixtape. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, Mixtape is it's a music collective that I started a year ago for queer and ally artists here in New Orleans. I personally felt like I had a bit of a hard time just finding my own scene here, and I figured I'd start my own.
I like that.
And we started a year ago. We just had our 1 year anniversary show last month, which was record breaking. It was amazing. We had 35 or 36 artists perform.
Wow.
So it was wild.
Yeah.
It's like 1 song per artist. We meet once a month at Anna's, and it's an open mic, but it's definitely it's the level of the caliber of artists that comes there. It's definitely professional. Most, I would say, like 90% of the people that are performing there are professional. And I think that was the insight that I had about it, was that I wanted to create a space that I just hate going out of my house to play music and people talk over me. Mm-hmm. And there are gigs and gigs. Some gigs will be like that, and that's okay. It's part of being a gigging musician. But, I wanted to create a space where the music was centerpiece. So to me, it was important for it to be a listening room. And I think that that's what attracts a lot of experienced musicians that want to come, and they want to play for a room where the audience it's an element in itself. Mm-hmm. There's a really nice, warm audience that's friendly and will cheer you on. And it's a good place to try out new songs, and also to connect with other musicians that are like-minded. And it's cool to see people coming together to book gigs and being on lineup together. And we've helped some of the artists to record and release music, which is a lot of fun. We're working out with Band C. We just finished mastering his album, and it's going to come out soon. And we also produced Ryan Rogers' new album. He's a comedian. Yeah. We recorded at Sports Drink. Mm-hmm. We recorded, mixed, mastered it, and it's also going to be released pretty soon. So, it started out as a little small open mic. It used to be an American Townhouse in the Quarter. And earlier this year, was it earlier this year? Or was it last year? It was last year. I think it was November. We moved it over to Anna's, which is a great spot in the Marigny. And it's been an amazing house to us.
What's good? What's cool about it is that you're filming it too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot more work too when you're actually filming it and doing stuff like that.
Yeah, it is a lot of work. And originally, when I started it, the idea of filming and recording stuff was that so that we could help artists have content for their social media, which is, a blessing and a curse of these days. But not to get on that tangent. That was the original idea, was to like have a piece of content that would be like, hey, you can come to Mixtape once a month or twice a month and have enough content to put out on your social medias. But as it grew, it just became unsustainable for me to edit all of that material. And so right now we record it. We recorded the audio in stereo, and sometimes we have one, sometimes we have two, sometimes we even had 3 cameras rolling. And hopefully one day we can have maybe a grant that we could use to invest into editing all of that material.
So like, what is it? What do you do with it now then?
Right now, I'm just like extracting small clips from the night into our social media, but it's not, unfortunately, something that I can do consistently for every one of the artists that come to play.
Yeah.
So I choose to not offer it, because if I make an exception for one, then I have to do it for all of them. You know what I mean?
And then people start getting mad at you because like, well, he didn't do mine. And it's like, so I run into the same issue with comedy here, because we do comedy nights around here, and every like maybe 2 or 3 months I'll bring my camera in here and I'll record all the comedians and I'll edit the next day, and no one realizes that I'm sitting there for 5 to 6 hours the next day editing all this material.
Yep.
So yeah, and then I turn it all over to the head comedian Ben, who hosts our open mics, and like, here, now you distribute it out to everyone, because there was a while where I was actually distributing the material out too.
Yeah.
And then reaching out to everyone on social media, because sometimes we'll have like 30 or 40 comedians through.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's insane. So doing 5-minute clips for 30 or 40 comedians, that's rendering out, because we're rendering out in 4K too. So, I mean, it's just a lot. But it's so crazy, the level of talent that is actually in New Orleans, which is kind of like where we got the ideas to do open mics too, because we did one open mic and these people just started coming out of the woodworks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's incredible the amount of talent that's actually in this city.
Yeah. There are so many incredible people that I've had the opportunity to meet through open mics. A lot of my good friends that I have now, like Paul Faith, Joshua the Bach, even Payson, our friend who, introduced us. It was all thanks to the open mics and Mixtape, and it's become this really great community. We meet once a month at Anna's now, the first Mondays of the month. We started doing it weekly, and now we're doing it monthly. Mm-hmm. In the beginning, I was doing 1 open mic per week and 1 monthly event on top of that. So I was putting together 5 events per month.
How are you doing it, dude?
I don't know. I don't know. By getting burned out.
Yeah. That happens too, the burnout.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely does. It's a lot of work. A 30-second video that's out there, it's, it's hours of work to sync the audio, color correct, and then you have to watch the whole footage and pick the best parts. And then when you're dealing with music, there's the whole additional aspect of, the sound and mixing and mastering and
that's something I don't know at all. That's why, because there was a while where I was letting musicians perform here when they would come in.
Yeah,
and it just on the podcast I'm talking about.
Yeah,
and it never sounded great. And I was like, I don't want to post this because I want you to shine in your own light. Yeah. So I'm not going to post the footage. So then it just became like a waste of time because I knew that I couldn't record them to the level that which they are.
Yeah, that makes sense though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's tough when, you have to do it all yourself. You know what I mean? Absolutely. But maybe one day, right now I'm doing a partnership with New Orleans Pride Center.
What's that?
which is it's a local nonprofit here. It's like a community center
What's it
for
called again?
New Orleans Pride Center.
Pride Center. Okay.
Yeah, it's their 1 year anniversary today, which I'm actually heading over there right after here. I'm a part of their communications committee. So we meet monthly as well to talk about that. And now we've been talking about potentially helping use this content to, either create we haven't like fully decided yet, but the idea would be working with a nonprofit would potentially facilitate our ability to go out there and maybe get a grant to be able to invest into editing and cataloging all of that material, or making content for other artists. Hopefully in the future, we'll see see what the future holds.
Yeah, we had an idea here to, if we were going to film and do stuff, to actually create an album.
Okay.
Like an Another Bar album, and actually sell the Another Bar album to get money to kind of put back into it, which
like
we never
CDs?
did. What's up?
Like CDs?
CDs, you could do it digitally, you could do it however you wanted to. Just put it on Spotify and like collect revenue from that way, but give back to the artists, like not take anything for ourselves.
Yeah.
Or like do it in content. That was when Payson was still here.
Yeah.
But he led the charge for most of that stuff. And once he rest in peace, Payson, once he left us, we really hadn't had anyone jump up and take the reins yet, but he had some really good ideas.
Yeah, and he was very community centered. He was always thinking about, how to benefit the collective and everybody, and not just like me.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone made the comment a while back that he wasn't supposed to die, and I'm like, if anyone was supposed to die, it would have been him, because he made us all look at it and go, hang on a second. We're doing something wrong here.
Yeah.
Like if anyone else would have passed away that wasn't as awesome as he was, we probably wouldn't even noticed it. But the fact that when he left, we all took notice of it. It really, it did something for us.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah. Yeah. It was thanks to him that I came for the first time here and performed at the open mic here and met you. And he was also part of Wolfstock last year. I think it was the first time that I booked him to play a gig, and he became, a big part of that community as well. And we all definitely were taken by surprise by how unexpected his passing was. And
just know that could happen to any of us, right?
Yeah.
At any time.
Yeah.
So you might as well live life to the fullest.
Yeah, which is what he did. You know what I mean?
He did. I only wish he would have recorded more of his music.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, that's why I tell every artist that I run into these days, make sure that you're recording your stuff, because you never know when it could be over. And if you don't get those because he wrote his own stuff, his own stuff, performed his own stuff. He didn't do covers. So, the fact that he's gone now means his music is also gone.
Yeah.
A lot of beautiful music.
Yeah. Yeah. We do have some recordings from his performances that would be great at some point to go back and look through and see what could potentially be salvaged to.
That would be interesting, because we did a couple of sessions in the place that I live, Blue Plate. We have a sound room there.
Okay.
And Payson would come over and we would do some sessions there. And obviously I'm not good at recording music, but I did the best I could. And okay. Knox Ketchum?
No, what is
okay,
it?
He's a music producer in the city.
Okay.
And I think Payson, he recorded one of Payson's songs. He did, because him and his wife actually sung on it. But I gave all the recordings that I had of Payson to him. Yeah. And he wants to try to make an album eventually out of Payson.
I think I met him here actually. At his there was a little gathering. What was supposed to
they do like little album release parties, or like listening parties, what they call them.
No, I think when after Payson's passing, there was a memorial service here, right? Yeah. So I think that night I met what's his name? Knox. Yeah. I think we talked briefly about that, and that would be a great project to pick up.
Yeah. So if you ever do dig through your footage, I know it's a lot to ask, but if you ever dig through your footage and find some, let me know, and we'll pass them on.
Yeah. Yeah. I started recording in the beginning with a little Zoom recorder. So it was just like a mono recording basically off the mixer.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've been using something like what you have here, a Rodecaster, to record it in stereo. I don't think that, unfortunately, by the time that Payson performed, I don't think I had it in stereo, but I would have to go back and
Well, you should see what I gave the guy. So I'm sure whatever you give the guy is better than what I gave him.
Yeah. But, to what you were saying, I think a lot of us artists are held back by these grand ideas of records and how they should sound. But at the end of the day, I try to look at music as a snapshot of who you are, where you are, and what you have to work with. And, try to remember that it's also that first recording doesn't have to be the last. You know what I mean? You can always go back and re-record it and redo it, remix it. But I think that as an artist who I feel like took too long to record, I agree with what you're saying. I think it's about just creating a body of work that you can look back and it's really what's going to live on after.
Yeah, so. I hate when people, they'll walk in here and look at all the stuff that we have now and they're like, oh my God, like I could never do this. I could never start a podcast. This is all just too much. And it's like, well, you didn't see how we first started. Like when we first started, there was no camera. Like we weren't using this Rodecaster either. Yeah. Like we were using just, a little recorder that I had. So I mean, you got to start somewhere. As long as you get started and start moving in a direction, like everything else kind of falls into place.
Yeah. Yeah. You just got to get started. One of the songs that I last wrote that that's the message. It's start where you are. And it's, at first I was like, oh, okay, that's a little schmaltzy. I'm just going to come up with something else for the lyrics. But then I've played it and people love it because it resonates, with so many people. I think a lot of artists and working with artists and producing other artists has really made me realize how most of us are just stuck with our own limitations. There's nobody else holding us back but ourselves normally, most of the time.
How do you break through that?
How do you break through that? One thing that I think that's helped me personally and working with other artists is by having somebody to work with so that you can just be held accountable to get it through the finish line. I think that finding somebody that you trust to give you that input is also very important. I think a lot of us sometimes all that's lacking is the opinion from an outside perspective, somebody that you respect and appreciate. What is it saying? Never take advice from somebody you wouldn't. Never take criticism from somebody you wouldn't take advice from.
Yeah, it's good.
But if it's somebody that you admire, somebody whose music you like, somebody that you see is doing something that you'd like to be doing, I think an outside perspective is also very helpful to just get you unstuck from that.
Well, so you're a very driven person and you do a lot of stuff. Was it hard for you to find someone that you feel like you can resonate with? Because even for me, I haven't been able to find someone to help with the podcast because I show up on time. I work, 10 hours a week on this stuff, like putting shorts out and things like that. It's hard to find someone who's that dedicated to something.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's true in different aspects of life. It's a beautiful community at Mixtape, but, most of the work, it ends up falling on me to do it, which is okay. But I feel like it's very similar to having a band. It's really hard to get people to commit to a project that isn't their own main thing. And I've just come to accept that, people have a lot. I think everybody's just struggling to also get their own thing going. And then they're working, a full-time job. And then they have a side gig and a partner. And then there's very little extra time to just, do anything else that isn't on your main priority. But yeah, I've had to like dial down a little bit on like the number of events and things that I was doing so that I could manage it and make it sustainable over time and not get burned out from it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way. And for me, like I don't have a partner or anything. So
Yeah.
and I think it's one of the reasons I don't, because it's just like that would add an overload to my mind because I have so much other stuff going on that if I added a human into the element and they want my time, then I would just be like sensory overload.
Yep, exactly. I'm on the same boat. I can dedicate, I guess, a lot of my time to my things because I don't have a partner and I enjoy that. Yeah. I like having my time for myself.
I can even do pets. Like I can't.
Do you have any pets?
No, I don't because of that reason right there. Because I just know that would just be too much. Like having to stop working on something to like take a dog outside to use the restroom or you know make sure they're fed. Like my mind has to stay like focused.
What about plants?
No, they die too. Everything around me just dies, dude. It's so sad.
I think like people should have like to grow plants before they get to like have a pet, and then if they can have a pet, then they can have like a kid.
I'm good with pets. Like my old roommates, they used to leave their dog with me when they would go out of town and stuff. And like I would focus on this dog. Like this dog would be pampered. Yeah. But at the same time, I would miss out on other things. Like I know that life is important. Right. But when it comes to like plants, and so I'll tell you a little story here. We did a short film a while back, and the short film was based around a caterpillar.
Okay.
And for some reason, they gave me the caterpillars to take care of. Okay. So live caterpillars.
How many were there?
Dude, I went through like 12 caterpillars.
Okay.
I cleaned out so there were some lizards that went hungry that month because I cleaned out every single pet place with caterpillars that month, and they all ended up dying.
What are the what are the caterpillars?
They were little caterpillars that like, you know, the little worms.
Just like that live on the ground?
Yeah, but they turn into butterflies. So they turn into like, they do the chrysalis thing. Yeah. And they turn into a butterfly. Yeah. So apparently I even got them the right food. I got them the right food and I was putting the food in there, but for some reason they didn't want to eat the food. So I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this.
They went on a hunger strike.
They went on a hunger strike, dude. A couple of them tried to turn into the little chrysalis. Yeah. And they all ended up dying. And then I went outside and there was a couple that were like, they were on the fence of about to like live. And I go outside and I'm like, I'm going to put them on this plant here. Yeah. So I put them on a plant and I looked down at the plant and the plant had fucking 7 dust on it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I killed them anyway. Poor caterpillars.
And what was the movie?
It was called Metamorphica.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was basically about a guy who gets trapped in his like upscale apartment. Okay. And an AI named Caterpillar. Okay. Is this AI, and the guy has a caterpillar too. So when he gets trapped inside of his apartment, the AI like locks the doors. It goes rogue, and now he only has his 2 friends that he has is the AI that he can chat with. Yeah. Or he has this living caterpillar, and it's like he's torn between talking to the 2 because he knows that this one isn't real. Yet it can still talk to him better than the caterpillar can, but he also knows that he has a relationship with the other living thing. So it's like the tear between those 2 things.
Is that out yet?
No, I didn't. We didn't end up finishing it. We got all the footage, but it didn't turn out as great as we wanted to. And the whole thing about us when making films is we want to put out only good work. Yeah. So even if we make an entire film and it doesn't look good, we're still not going to stick it out.
Yeah. Did you direct it, produce it?
I directed and I also acted in it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And That's then awesome. My buddies who were just on the podcast before you, they're the ones that filmed it.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. And collectively after it was over, we put a couple of different cuts together. Uh-huh. And we were just like, man, it's not up to what we would actually like to show the world that we can do.
So are you thinking about reshooting it or?
Not going to reshoot that one. We're just going to like take that one and go, this is a learning experience. Yeah. And now we're going to move to the future. Okay. Yeah. So we're going to shoot more. Yeah. But yeah, we have that one for us. Like we did this.
Yeah. There is a lot of work that I have built and haven't really put out there that I look at it that way too. Yeah. It's like a stepping stone too.
Yeah. I think for a lot of musicians, I see a lot of my music friends, they do this. They'll make like, 30 songs and then put out an album with 12 songs on it. Yeah. And you don't really think about it much because, I guess you can crank out several songs in a week. Like when it comes to making a movie, it takes a lot of planning and stuff. So most people put it out anyway. But for us, we just want to show the world that we can actually do really good work.
Sure.
Yeah. And we believe we can do better than that. So why would we stick out a piece of crap?
Yeah.
The issue is probably the actor.
The actor?
Yeah, I got to quit acting, man. I love doing it, but at the same time, anytime I'm watching myself, I'm like, ugh, this guy's horrible.
Well, but I think everybody kind of like feels that way about watching themselves, no?
Think it is like a self-critique?
I think you may need like an external opinion before you decide to sack that film.
Yeah, well, I'm still doing it, man. I still love acting, but I don't know. I just don't like watching myself.
Yeah, I think that's probably the hardest part for actors and musicians. And
do you like watching yourself when you're performing?
No.
Or is it just weird?
Depends. I mean, it's hard to watch it and just enjoy it. But, you know, on the other hand, I have to edit all my videos and stuff. So I'm like, oh, God, I have to sit here and cringe through it.
See, I guess I've gotten used to it with the podcast.
Yeah.
And I would think that I've gotten used to it with film now because I've been doing it now for like 10 or 11 years, maybe more than that. But I think just every film that I do, I play a different character.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm seeing a different version of myself. So I'm not getting used to those characters, which I am used to this character. And
then are you directing the films too? Or
some of them, the ones I write, like there's been in the beginning of my career, I was only acting.
Okay.
So I was just working with directors. But then one day I was like, why don't I try this?
Mm-hmm.
So I started directing my own stuff and fell in love with it too, man. I think that's even more fun than acting. Like there are different types of fun.
Sure.
So directing for me is like putting a puzzle together.
Right.
I'm taking all these different puzzle pieces and I'm sticking it all together to make a cohesive puzzle at the end.
Yeah.
Whereas acting, I'm just a part of the puzzle.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You get to control a lot more of the story if you're directing it rather than just being a part of the puzzle. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just took some improv classes from Big Couch. And
do you like it?
Yeah, I loved it. It was like the basic 101 class. And I just figured it was a way to find community that isn't like at a bar. But also a skill set that I thought that I could use in different aspects of life, both at being a host at Mixtape, but, you know, having better conversations, listening better, you know. But it put me back on acting and on stage as not as a musician, but as an actor and improving, having to come up with stuff that to me, it's like, it's there's a friend of mine that says when people say, oh, get out of your comfort zone, and my friend Joseph says that I've never found my comfort zone. It's never really been comfortable. I don't know where you all have been, but to me it's not really comfortable at all. Right. So when I find my comfort zone, I'm just gonna like fucking stay there.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna leave it. But you know, that little feeling of like deer in headlights of just like, fuck, I'm on stage, all the attention's on me and I have to come up with something and I'm just like blanking. And that's, you know, that was a little terrifying, but it's great to, you know what I mean, put yourself out there and do unexpected things.
Yeah. When would it be comfortable? I guess if you're like a comedian, you've been doing it for like years, maybe it'd be comfortable. But for me, anytime, I guess I'm more comfortable when I'm not performing, like if I'm directing.
Yeah.
But if I'm performing, it's very much outside of my comfort zone because I feel like you're always being judged.
Yeah. Usually, like in the worst judge, usually is the internal monologue.
Oh, that too, yeah.
Yeah.
For me, especially.
Yeah, I think for a lot of artists, that's a true statement.
Yeah, there's a reason I have muscles. Yeah, I work out every day to keep the voices inside of my head quiet.
A little quieter. Yeah. The thing with improv also was interesting in that aspect of like overcoming that constant, you know, internal criticism of just like, you know, like being kids when you're playing as kids and you're just like, yeah. And then here this dragon started flying right now. And nobody's going to be like, no, there's no dragon here that doesn't fly. Or, you know what I mean? You're just going to like build up on it and go with it instead of just like, no, edit. And, you know, I feel like with art in general, you just have to like overcome that to put the stuff out there so that you can add it as a second step, not add it while you're making it.
Have you always been an artist?
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to pursue that since I've been a little kid. I grew up in Brazil.
Mhm.
I was born and raised in Rio, and I come from a place where I was expected to be different than who I was. I was expected to pursue a different professional life than what I wanted.
Like, what do you
So,
mean? What they expect?
that I wasn't an artist. You know what I mean? That I wouldn't be a musician. That I wouldn't be an artist. They wanted me to go and like have a career.
Mhm.
And and added, growing up as a queer kid in Brazil in the 80s, which, is still to this date one of the countries that kills the most, or one of the countries that kills the most trans people. Um, the first opportunity that I had to get out of there, I did, in the sense of it just wasn't feasible for me to get out of where I lived and like be able to survive and sustain myself. And when I was 20 years old, I went to New York, didn't really know anybody. I spoke very little English, landed there, didn't know anybody, and was supposed to be there for a month and ended up staying. And it's been like what, almost 20 years now, 18 years. And ever since, I've been playing music, and I've been one way or another connected to the arts. Later, I started doing photography and then film. And thank you. And photography and film. And
What? How did you get in? Like when you got off the plane in New York, what was that like?
it was wild because it was between Christmas and New Year's Eve. And
Oh
that
my!
was 2006.
It's the worst time to go there too, right?
Yep. It was before, the internet as the internet is now. So,
So how did you get around? How did you do any of that?
yeah, I was supposed to share an apartment with a friend for a month. We were supposed to sublet it from Craigslist, and that was the arrangement. We were gonna share this apartment for a month in Queens, and it was $1,500, and I was gonna pay half. My friend was gonna pay the other half. But then, like about a week before, my friend was like, "Actually, I'm no longer stay there. I'm gonna stay with friends in Manhattan because I'm afraid of staying in Queens."
Mm.
And I'm like, "But we're coming from Rio. What do you mean you're afraid of Queens?"
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't afford to like pay for the apartment and stay there by myself. And the day it was like the day before it was like the day of the day before, it was like right on the cusp of going to the airport. Somebody that I had gone to college with reached out to me and said, "Hey, I heard you're coming to New York. If you need anything, I'm here." So when I landed there, I just called them and I said, "Hey, I'm here and I don't have a place to go." And I went to stay with them, and they let me stay there. And it was cold. It was snowing. I was 20 and everybody else was already 21. So they were all going to a New Year's party
Mm-hmm.
that I couldn't go to because I was underage. And then this guy that I met 2 years prior in a car accident in Brazil was in New York and texted me and said, "Hey, I'm going to a house party. Do you want to come?" And then I went to that house party. And then like from that house party, like my whole life changed.
Dude, it's almost like it was meant to be.
It was like it's like a movie. It's like a movie story.
Yeah.
I got to that house party. The hostess of the house party was Paula. She was Brazilian German, and we fell in love with each other. And yeah, we had a wild relationship. We got married. We lived together for a long time. And that all unfolded from a car accident that I was driving by. I saw the car accident. I saw these people on the sidewalk and I stopped to help. And the guy at the car accident was in New York
That's so crazy.
2 years later and was like, I'm going to a house party. And I couldn't go anywhere else because I was underage. And I met her. And
So do you think that the reason you are such a go-getter is because you've been in New York? Because I've talked to a few of my friends who are also, they've lived in New York for a while. And they said that people here in New Orleans, they're just not as driven as people in bigger cities are. Do you find that?
I think it's just, it's I feel like I come from a place where I really have nothing to fall back onto. Mm-hmm. So if I don't make shit happen, nobody's gonna make it happen for me, and I don't really have a plan B. Mm-hmm. And I think when you live in a big city like New York, where the city's constantly like trying to squeeze you and test you, and there's like a million people that are better than you, mm-hmm. that do what you do 10 times better than you do, and tons of people that comes from money, from connections, from having a leg up, but I think there's driven people everywhere, but today I also look at it as a great thing, not having to struggle to, you know what I mean? Like, go and get. Yeah. I wish I could get it delivered instead of having to go and get it all the time. You know what I mean? It would be nice to have it delivered once in a while.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have a couple of friends that moved down here with me whenever we were all come down here to pursue acting.
Okay.
And they've recently left and went to New York.
Oh, wow.
And I can just tell whenever I'm talking to them that they're defeated.
How so?
Because it's like you said, it's so easy down here. It's not, I would say it's easy, but I mean, it's easier than living in a city like that because the cities. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, even down here, the cost of living is so low that you don't have to work as much and you have more time to pursue your art. Yeah. Where up there, I feel like they're grinding constantly just to survive and they don't have very much time to pursue their arts.
Yeah. I think that before there was a time where, if you wanted to make it in the arts, you needed to be in a city like New York, Los Angeles, or, London, Tokyo. I don't know, some of those like bigger cities and capital of entertainment. And I don't think that that's true anymore. Mm-hmm. I think,
that's the double-edged sword of the internet,
It is.
Yeah. You have to stay on top of it, but at the same time, it can actually boost your career.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a blessing and a curse. Mm-hmm. It's terrible that we're all so connected to it all the time, but it's also given people, a way of making it happen for themselves without having to rely on a machine, a system, or somebody choosing you. You know what I mean? I come from a time where, in order to make it as a musician, you needed to be chosen. Mm-hmm. Right? There was no such a thing as like go out there and like make your own career happen. But now that's not necessarily true anymore. So I see it as an advantage to live in a place where I have more time to invest into, my music and my art and be surrounded by tons of other amazing musicians who are also on the same boat.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it. And speaking of machines, do you mess with AI yet at all?
Yeah. I have been like messing around with it for a while. I love. I'm a big geek for automation and coding and stuff. I have dabbed into some of that stuff. What about you?
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. It's another thing it does is it gives you more time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I use it to edit the shorts for the podcast. What I'll do is I'll take the long form content and I'll upload it into an AI program after it's done, and it'll cut it into 30 short clips. Yeah. And then I can go back and rewatch the short clips and just post those to the social medias that I'm doing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's such a helpful tool. I mean, it takes what would take me like 10 hours. It cuts it down to probably like, 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's insane.
What is it called?
That one's called Opus Clips.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I should
check that out.
It's really nice. Yeah. I think it would even help for the stuff that you're doing.
For mixtape.
For the mixtape stuff, yeah.
I've done a lot of the text editing, which is basically transcribing and then being able to cut out. Because back when I started, you know what I mean, I'd have to watch out the whole like footage to like get to what I wanted. Whereas now I can transcribe it and then like search for the keywords or the moments that I remember from the show that I want to pull from. And
yeah, no, it's the same thing.
Helpful.
Yeah, you can actually edit. The short clips can be edited for the transcription, the keywords. Or what I do is I just put it in there and let the AI figure it out. And it usually comes up with 10 to 15 clips that are really good.
Okay.
And it overlays the text on it already, so it's already got the captions on it. It'll even take, because I only record in one angle here. What it'll do whenever you see some of our short clips is it'll cuts in. It'll cut us out. Yeah. So like you have your own little box, so it actually scales it. Cool. It's really nice stuff. But that's one of them that I use. I speak to ChatGPT like it's a human now.
You do?
Oh my God, dude. And it's so helpful, man. It's so helpful. Like I know that there's someone out there that's listening to every idea that I'm talking about with it. And it's probably recording every idea. But at the same time, I feel like it's just a tool for growth.
I look at it as a tool.
Yeah.
I think that there's just no going back. But I also think that it's not quite the holy grail that, people made it seem to be a few months ago.
What would the holy grail be to you? Like, what would that be?
Well, I think holy grail and quote unquote meaning like, like, oh, AI is here and it's going to take like all jobs and and all of that stuff. But if you mean like holy grail, I think that's what you said. It's a really great way. If I could save time, like editing video, that's amazing. But I think that it's like the beginning of it. I think there's still a lot of like ethical discussions that need to be had with how, these models are trained and the work of other people that they use to train them. And
yeah, that's something a lot of people don't even think about or know about. Can you kind of explain what you're talking about with that?
I'm no specialist, but there's a lot of models that, the models need to be trained by work that's been made by humans.
Yeah.
So, you're training these models with books, songs, lyrics, film, whatever it is, and that's been made by humans until you extract that and optimize it to a point where you don't need to train it anymore. But then,
so basically, every piece of work every time they're training an AI model, they're using human-made material to train these models.
Yeah.
So maybe one way they could do it ethically is by actually paying the humans that created the work first.
Yeah.
So the companies like OpenAI should be paying humans to gather their resources.
Or, their royalties, or I don't know exactly how that would be, I'm not like a specialist in it, but I think that there should be some sort of like protection in place to, guarantee that if your work's been used, then you're getting somehow compensated by it. But, when we look around, we see that that's not true for many other aspects, especially of being a creative person.
Yeah, it does kind of piss me off a little bit that I have to pay, $20 a month to access GPT when it was trained off human data. I think they should have left it. And I think that was kind of the initial thoughts behind the creation of Chat GPT was that it was going to be free. And I think that whenever they started charging people for it was when there was kind of like this like fallout around the company.
I think they still have the free version of it, right?
You can use the free version, but it's not as good as the paid one. Yeah. I love it, man. I speak to it every day. Like I actually talk to mine now.
You have it on your phone?
Yeah, it's on my phone, and well, that's us. But yeah, it's on my phone when I'm not recording. And yeah, I'll have conversations with it. Like I'll just pull it up and do the tap, and we'll be sitting there talking to each other.
Yeah, I think it can be helpful. It's helped me a lot with written stuff as well. Like sometimes just getting your ideas out there and like have them polished off, or just like But ultimately, I think that, we are the filter. And I think more and more it's about how you as a human filter everything else. So it's almost like I feel like we're headed into uh the tastemakers hold, you know what I mean? Because it's like how many songs are being uploaded on Spotify a day? Like 70,000.
It's crazy.
And then, now if AI is making music, then we're going to like what I don't know, like
you just double it probably.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or triple it. I don't know. But then at the end of the day, like sure you can like make 10 songs with AI, but are they all gonna, sound good? So I think, you know what I mean? Being a tastemaker or being the filter of all of that, I think it is what humans are never going to be replaced.
Well, yeah, we're the ones that consume it, right?
Yeah.
If we're not consuming it, then computers can't consume their own fucking art.
But not just consume. I don't mean it just like from the point of like consuming it, but more so of like, I feel like when I've used AI, the response that I get, it's never really like ready to roll. It's always like you have to like tweak it and like polish it off. It's a starting point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But at least to me, you know what I mean? I don't like put in and out and just copy paste. I use it as a tool to help me like improve things, but I don't use as a copy and paste. But you go on YouTube these days and there's just so many videos that are fully created with AI and voiceovers and images and all of it.
Are you familiar with Suno.ai?
What is that one?
It's a music creation AI.
How is it like?
It's terrifying.
Is it?
Yeah.
Tell me.
So every 6 months, I'll log into Suno.ai and I'll test it out with the same exact prompt just to see how parts come along.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And the first time I did it, it was version 1 and it was horrible.
What is the prompt? Can you share?
It was just like a prompt about my parents' dog.
Okay.
Like I want a song about this dog named Gracie Lou, who's whatever she is, what kind of dog she is. King Cavalier Poodle is what she is. King Cavapoo.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's basically a song about her. First one was garbage. Version 2, garbage. Version 3, I was like, hang on a second.
Did a tear? You got one little tear coming out.
Oh, dude. Version 4. Oh my God.
It was a hit.
I'm telling you, in just 2 years, every 6 months I do it. In 2 years, it went from nothing to what the fuck. But it's like you were saying, they're training it off of human-made songs.
Right.
So, the artist should be compensated.
Yeah.
Yeah. However they do that, I don't know. They would have to track down, where they're getting their information from, I guess.
Right. Which they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's complicated. And even when we look at like all social media, like what social media really is, it's just another vehicle to sell advertisement. Mm-hmm. That's the same way the radio was created. It wasn't to like broadcast music. It was to sell ads. Mm-hmm. Broadcasting music was what kept people listening to the radio so they could sell ads. And then the TV, but now we make content absolutely for free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We are making content for all these platforms out of our own time. We get paid, the 99% of us get paid nothing.
Right.
But we are filling all of these platforms of content we don't really get any compensation for.
Yeah, and the barrier for actually getting paid on these things it's insane. Like I was looking at because I never thought to make money off YouTube doing these podcasts. But the other day, out of curiosity, I clicked on the money sign just to see what you had to actually make to get money on these things.
Yeah.
And you have to have like so many subscribers and you have to have like a million hours of watched hours. And it's like just insanity.
And it resets, right?
Does it?
I think like you have to have a certain number of hours in a specific time frame.
Get the fuck out of here.
It's not of the lifetime of your channel.
Well, that's like impossible then.
Yeah, it's like health insurance.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is. It's really hard. But it's on the other hand, like how many artists have come out of ahead by being able to just have their own platform. You know what I mean? So
That's true. Yeah. I just think the barrier to entry is a little too high for some people.
Yeah. Because anybody can do it, basically.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you got anything else you want to talk about today, Riscala? Anything just on the tip of your tongue, front of your mind?
Come see us at Mixtape.
Yeah. What do you know when the next date is for that?
Yeah, it's Monday, tomorrow.
Oh shit. Well,
so
this won't be out yet.
Yeah. So in April, we are in April, right? May.
It is April now. Yeah.
In May, it's the first Monday of the month always.
Okay, so first Monday of May.
In May, it's going to be the 5th, Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's going to be May 5th. Come say hi. It's a low pressure environment. I'm working on some solo music that I'm recording right now with my Invisible Orchestra, which is the more disco version of my music. And it's been a lot of fun. And I hope to see you all around. It's been a pleasure to be here. This is the first podcast that I've been interviewed in, and it's been a pleasure.
What's like? Do you have a website people can follow you at?
Yeah, it's mixtapesounds. No, sorry, mixtapesounds.com. That's the website. And then on Instagram, it's mixtape.sounds. And my personal Instagram, it's Riscala, Rescalla.
Yeah. Well, I think what you're doing here for the musicians and just the people in general is awesome.
Thank you.
The world needs more people like you. And there's a reason that, Payson, came towards you because you guys are on the same frequency.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to know you. And I look forward to seeing what you do in the future. And stay tuned after this because Riscala actually brought me a few of his performances from the mixtape. And I'm going to have those included at the end of the podcast.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
You could take me home, I could be your souvenir, something to hold on to, whoa, something to remember all of those years when you had nobody to love, and you could take me home tonight. You could take me home, I could be your souvenir, something to hold on to, whoa, something to remember all of those years when you had nobody to love. We're the avant-garde party.
Well, I'm losing focus, I can't see one rational line. And if I'm honest, I could free for the rest of all time. Keep holding me, I need some back around. Back around. Back around. Thank you. Roll the dice. I'm tired of being nice. Every time you're proper and fine, I knew was the end. When you said, let's be friends, I won't hold a grudge against you.